Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a new Zygarde card. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to come right out the start and say it, straight off the bat, unashamedly, this is a really, really good card that I expect to do really good things in the Pokemon TCG. Now, our translation does come from the lovely David Hochmann over at RappelmannTCG over on Facebook. And if we start off with the basics here, it's got 90 HP, which is only ever really going to be relevant if Level Ball comes back. And it's Pokemon with a grass weakness, which is kind of alright. It's not great, but you know, it's not the worst weakness to have, and you've only got 90 HP. Retreat cost of 1 is low, and the attack cost 1, as you can see, so we like that. And being a fighting type is awesome. DIancie Prism Star lets you do an extra 20 damage. Brooklet Hill lets you search it out, and it is a basic, of course, which means you can search it out very easily. And, of course, you get Fighting Dojo nowadays, which does an extra 10 damage if you've got a basic fighting energy attached, but if you're behind on prizes, that goes from 10 to 40. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very good typing to have right now. Not to mention hitting weakness on Zoroark or Pikachu and Zekrom. But actually, what we really like here is the ability. The ability is phenomenal, and according to David, it reads, as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, each of your Zygarde and Zygarde GX's attacks do an extra 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. It is literally DIancie Prism Star, except it's for Zygarde not fighting Pokemon, and it stacks. One of the worst things about DIancie Prism Star was the fact that you could only have one DIancie Prism Star, because it was a Prism Star. Whereas this, you can have 4 Zygarde on the bench and be doing an extra 80 damage. Now, you can use it with this Zygarde. We'll get into the attack in a moment, but you can see 20 damage for 1 energy. You can only, of course, have 3 on the bench for fairly obvious reasons. One's got to be in the active. So you'd be essentially doing 80 damage for a single energy. That's not too bad. But we do have a whole bunch of Zygarde around at the moment that can take advantage of that. So what I thought we should do is just have a little bit of a look at the Zygarde we've got at the moment and where they can actually get to. Because here's the thing, right? Yes, you can add 80 damage with this Zygarde, but then you can add 20 damage with DIancie Prism Star, and then you're literally out of bench space. And then you can use Choice Band, and then you can use Fighting Dojo, and you're adding 170 damage to whatever you did before. That's 80 for the Zygarde, plus 20 for the Diancie is 100, plus 30 for the Choice Band is 130, plus 40 for the Fighting Dojo is 170. Although do remember, it comes down to 140 if you're equal or ahead on prizes, because Fighting Dojo is only 40 if you're behind on prizes. But adding 140 or 170 energy is absolutely redonkulously nuts. Let's take the 50% Zygarde, Slugguard as I call him. 1 energy, 20 damage. Oh no, wait. 1 energy, 190 damage. There's a 1-hit KO on a Buzzwole GX right there. That's a little bit crazily, awesomely, over-the-toply brilliant. Now, generally speaking, when we're looking at stuff like this, yes, we can pile energy on to do the big attacks, but we don't really want to. The goal here generally is, let's just do little attacks, basic Pokemon, single energy, but using stuff like, well, Dog Guard as I call him, it's actually not a little attack. It's a rather tasty big attack. Now, there is a promo that I really don't like. Fighting double colorless 60, free fighting colorless 130. No. The one from Burning Shadows does 80 for free colorless energy. And look, you can fit this into anything, and you can accelerate any kind of energy, and you can use double colorless energy. But I'm just not a fan of this. Not generally. It's not amazing. It's a little bit more expensive than I would generally like. Now, we do have the Slugguard, which came out in Dragon Majesty, and that one I do like very much indeed, because that one, for 1 fighting energy, 20 damage, and stops your opponent retreating. Now, there's a pretty good chance you'll get a 1-hit KO with this anyway, but with all the damage modification here, you should at least be getting a 2-hit KO, even on something like a Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team GX. So if they can't get out the active, you're golden. And that's kind of the point here. That's why I love this one so much. Now, we do also have the Zygarde from Forbidden Light. Double colorless energy, 20 damage, flip a coin if heads paralysis. This is very much like the stopping retreating, except just taken to that next level. In that, actually, paralysis is better than stopping them retreating, because they might be able to attack, which would be awesome. And then we do have one other Dog Guard. That is the one which came around in Forbidden Light, incidentally. And the ability, damage from this Pokemon's attacks aren't affected by weakness or resistance. That alone should make you not really want to play it. And yeah, you can turn it off with Alolan Muck, but that's a bench space, and we really want 1 attacker and 5 bench Pokemon all adding 20 damage to your attacks. We don't want this. I mean, 60 damage if your opponent's got an Ultra Beast in play for 1 energy is decent, but I don't think it's quite good enough. But we should also give a shout out to Zygarde GX here. Double colorless energy, 50 damage, attach 2 fighting energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. That's actually really nice. Firstly, 50 damage for 1 energy attachment is the most we're doing here. This is the highest amount of damage we're doing for 1 energy attachment, unless you use the Forbidden Light one, which does 60, but that's only if your opponent has an Ultra Beast in play, which they might not. So this is really good, and you accelerate energy. You do risk giving up 2 prizes, but the fact of the matter is here that you can attack for 50, but remember, it's not going to be 50, it's going to be 180 before you even bring in Fighting Dojo. And then you accelerate 2 energy to you, and then you can be doing stuff like 130 for the energy that's now on you, or 150 and prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from GXs and EXs during your next turn. And at this stage, we should mention Bonnie, which does allow you to use that over and over again. Now, generally speaking, I think we really do want to be looking towards single energy attacks here. But I should mention the attack here for a single fighting energy does 20 damage and attaches a fighting energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. So actually, if you start attacking with this, and you've got to give up 20 damage to do so, because then it's not on your bench and you don't get the extra 20, but then you get to actually build up the energy. So something like Zygarde GX actually becomes viable. Something like the Zygarde from Dragon Majesty can do 120 if there are any damage counters on the defending Pokemon, and then of course that's before you start doing all the crazy damage modification here. It means 150 HP Zygarde from Burning Shadows. All of a sudden, 80 damage for free energy is absolutely doable, and of course it's not 80 damage, it's 210 before you start bringing in Fighting Stadium or Fighting Dojo. And when you do your 1-hit KOing GXs, and this can actually work. And actually here, I really do need to shout out the Zygarde from Forbidden Light. 120 if you've used your GX attack. Yeah, you're into Tag Team GX KOing territory here. I think, generally speaking, your best bet is using Zygarde GX or one of these ones that just have a single energy attack, which incidentally are all the 50% form. I think that's where we start. But the combination of Zygarde GX accelerating energy to itself and this new one attaching energy to any of your bench from the discard pile means that as we get to the mid to late game, you can be pulling off some really fantastically powerful attacks here. I expect this to turn Zygarde into a legitimate deck, because you don't have to use the GX here. And like I've said, if you're behind on prizes, you can legitimately be adding 170 to your attack, which means it's not 20 for 1 energy, it's 190 for 1 energy. And at that stage, we are looking at a crazy good deck. And of course, you've got energy acceleration, so you can get off to big attacks as well. I really like this. This strikes me as a kind of Pokemon that is immediately going to go ahead and make a deck. DIancie Prism Star has made a whole bunch of Pokemon better, and this essentially allows you to have 5 DIancie Prism Star, and we're getting Fighting Dojo. I'm calling it as a 5 Wassy card. Maybe that's overly generous. Maybe I'm overly excitable. Maybe I have an affinity for fighting Pokemon, and I've always loved fighting Pokemon. And maybe I'm being a bit too lenient and I don't even care. This looks phenomenal. To the point where I think we should all start preparing for Zygarde. Because, oh yeah, it's hitting 2 of the best Pokemon in the format for weakness. So I think this is absolutely over the top, phenomenally great. But I would like to know what you think about it. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at DIancie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.